All right. Can you still hear me okay? Very good. And can you just give me a little intro here so I can make sure I still have sound on your end?
Sure. Hi, my name is Amanda Hanzlik.
Okay,
I'm
that's
in
great.
St. Louis, Connecticut.
There we go. I'm glad that you pronounced your last name. I meant to do that as well. So I figured it was Hanzlik, but you never know. So
Yes,
I'm sure you've had that. So,
I have
uh,
for sure.
all right. Well, let me just kind of get the show on the road here.
Okay.
And hello from wherever you're logging in. I'm Nathan Dame. I'm the National R&R Chair for Senior High School Choirs with ACDA. And today we have Amanda Hanzlik from Connecticut on our High Voltage Recharge. And we seek to electrify, power up, and inspire your teaching through conversations with practicing senior high school directors. And we like to try to be your AirPods, 15 minutes and good to go. We do all the things and don't have a lot of time to plug in during the school year. So maybe you can use this to be audio for your drive to or from school. Maybe put it on during your conference period or whenever you need motivation. So thanks so much for being here, Amanda.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be with you today.
Well, thanks for sharing. And we're just going to start off with the easy question as far as why do you love senior high school choir?
Oh my goodness. I love it because high school choir is really such an incredible journey that you take with students. I feel like I'm just so honored and privileged to witness their growth over a 4-year period of time, and we as their choral directors, we get this chance to create a really safe space for them to be alive, emotionally and socially, artistically, to really see them not just be alive, but to create a space where they can thrive and become new people and become more of who they are. And we all know that 4-year period, it's really intense. It's transformative. And that's why I love teaching high school. I spent the first 10 years of my career actually teaching elementary school. And
Okay.
that was a completely different kind of life developmentally, and I can say that for high school, it's it, it's of course similar in terms of
Yes.
like they're all kids, but there's something really special that I really treasure about these 4 years with high schoolers.
You can just build so many great relationships, especially with this age.
Indeed.
And
Yeah.
we always say, though, I have not taught elementary school, but high schoolers are certainly still middle schoolers with car keys. So I think so.
That's a great description.
Yes, I stole that one for sure. So did you have any inspiration for teaching choral music at all? Anybody that's kind of helped you to become the educator that you are?
Absolutely. I'm from Connecticut now. I've lived here since 2008. Um, but I was raised in Iowa. So I was raised in the Iowa public education system, and my choral experience, both in middle school and in high school, were just absolutely incredible. And I had two women who were my choral directors in both, both middle school and high school, and they were complete rock stars in every way. They were so kind and so brilliant and so supportive, and they really cared about their community. Um, and they really, really demanded excellence from the students, from the entire community, honestly, from the families. Like we were all in. And so I felt that feeling of community really profoundly in those experiences. And when I went to college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with singing. I wasn't sure where it would take me. And I started teaching dance. I started choreographing and doing musicals and show choir and things like that when I was in college,
Hmm.
to make money over the breaks and during the summers and those kinds of things. And I started realizing I really love teaching. I really, really love teaching. And I think I had those models of those women who were in my life from, the age of 12 to 18. I really looked to them as my examples and my inspiration. I also had a really excellent college director. His name was William Hatcher at the University of Iowa in the late 90s. And he really, really opened a world of sound to me in terms of my choral experiences that I just didn't even know existed. And so he was very instrumental in my desire to stay engaged with choral activity, even in the years that I was teaching general music at the elementary level.
Well, and now those kiddos are growing up, and you've been that influence for them, I'm sure,
Isn't that
as they're leaving
amazing?
it. I love it. Your
I
second
know.
generation and all
I
that. It's
know.
ah,
I know.
yes.
Yep.
Well, so you're in Connecticut, and
Mhm.
can you tell me a little bit about your high school program? What's a typical day look like for you, or the ensembles that you have?
Sure. I teach in a rural high school. It's a regional high school. Even though it's regional and rural, we are on the campus at the University of Connecticut in
Oh,
Storrs, which is the northeastern corner. We're about an hour and 20 minutes from Boston and about 2 hours and 20 minutes from New York City. So we're right in between. And our student population is around 1,000 students from 4 surrounding towns, and we are an agricultural magnet school.
hmm,
So we have a very interesting, very, very interesting population where some of my students, um, they're from countries all over the world because their families are at UConn, or I have families who they have been farming their family's land since like the 1700s. It's a very, very interesting and really diverse community, but very rural and very kind of in the middle of nowhere, so to speak.
hmm,
But it's a great community. I really love it here. Our choirs, we have 4 choirs, actually 5. We have a new one this year. We have a new a cappella ensemble, but 2 of our choirs are curricular. We have our big concert choir and then our smaller chamber singers during the school day. And we also have a small group lesson program. So I get to sing all day long. So I know that I'm very unusual that way and I'm very lucky, but students come from their built-in free periods. Study halls are kind of opposite of their laboratory
hmm,
blocks where
hmm.
they have small group lesson sections. And those small groups go from 2 to about 6 or 7 kids.
Okay.
And that's once a week. And so we get a lot of time. I also have our classes are an hour long, and I see my groups 4 times a week.
Okay.
So that's how that kind of rolls for the curriculum based choirs. And then our after school choirs, we have treble choir, tenor bass choir, and an a cappella ensemble. And all of those ensembles are more focused on a cappella singing, pop music, a different kind of vibe than our
Yeah.
than our curricular choirs.
So are the treble and tenor bass choirs, are those students from the concert or chamber singers
Yes,
or
those are
okay.
students from those ensembles, as well as I have actually a large group. Actually, right now, I have more than ever of kids from band and orchestra who
Great.
are who really want to sing, but really the after school ensembles are the only times that they can fit it into their schedule. So I really enjoy getting to know those students as well. So that's been a really fun element of those after school choirs.
Wonderful. And is the concert choir unauditioned and the chamber is auditioned?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Yes. The concert choir is unauditioned, and that's usually for us around 100 students
Okay.
in that concert choir. And then our chamber singers really it fluctuates year to year. I don't tend to keep it. It kind of depends on who we have auditioning and what
Hmm.
kind of projects we have going on, but it usually hovers around 30 to
Okay.
34.
Well,
Yep.
very good. Well, I know
Yeah.
some of your ensembles are very different, but can you think about some of your favorite like focus or team building activities? This is kind of our little rapid fire section where
Okay.
we can get tools that we might be able to use in our classroom. So some way you
Sure.
get to engage the students at the beginning of rehearsal and get them focused, ready to sing.
Sure. And this will kind of go hand in hand with like kind of the warm-ups that we do.
Sure.
Um, in every ensemble, no matter which ensemble it is, we always start with silence. We always start with closing our eyes, breathing, an awareness of posture. I kind of take them through a little guided, redistribution of just their mind and their breath and their body. And we always take a good solid 3 to 4 minutes to just breathe and to hum in unison, to sing open vowels in unison, to listen. It depends on the day, but it really does follow that kind of like structure of posture, breath, silence, humming, listening
Yeah.
every single day, every single ensemble. And so they know what to do when they come into the classroom. They know that they're going to widen their stance. They know they're going to bring their shoulder blades back. They know they're going to put a hand on their heart and a hand on their abdomen, and they're going to close their eyes and they're going to breathe. And they're just going to be in this space where they get to yawn and swallow and readjust their posture and breathe. And then we'll start to hum a unison pitch. And if they have to let that vibration go and take a breath and come back into the sound, that is what they do. So it's a very gentle but expected start to every class. It's a routine. So I feel like that connects them to each other. And I mean, I know that connects them to each other because they've written about it, they've talked about it. But it's a little process that we have that's just developed over time that has become a thing that we do that really centers them and brings them together.
It sounds very holistic.
It is. Yeah. And it's really simple. It's really simple. And when I first started doing it, it kind of just evolved naturally for me, but at first I had this strange little thing on my shoulder saying, "You're taking too much time. You're taking too much time. This is taking too long." And I'm like, "No, it's not. No, it's not. This is essential for them to be present. This is an essential practice for them to be present and for me to be present, because frankly, I needed it too. Mm-hmm. I needed to breathe and reestablish my posture and yawn and swallow and just kind of be present in my body and allow myself some space to breathe, because then I was ready too." So really, really, maybe it was for me, but really that has centered us, that brings us together. It gets them kind of ready to work emotionally, psychologically, and the same for me. So we all benefit.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have a great awareness, and your students do, of what's happening around them. So when you talk about building tone specifically, are there any exercises that you like to use for the tone that you want to have with your choirs?
Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. I love a lip trill, Nathan.
Yeah.
Don't we all? But I do. I love the freedom and the should I back up? Yeah. I love that a lip trill is the place for that postural awareness and that intake of breath to go with freedom, right? So we start every single day after that really kind of unison singing and solfege work that we do every day. We go into a lip trill, a lip trill pattern, or we spend time in the lip trill. Is what I'm trying to say. But I definitely, I love to linger inside of vowel shape and take lots of time going through phrase with multiple vowel shape, from like E to A, and then a more open sound to bring it forward and then open and then forward and then open. I really like those kinds of patterns. And but we do spend a lot of time inside of varying vowel shape, both in unison singing and then like in cluster singing, sustained sound is what I'm trying to say. It's not just a scalar pattern or an arpeggiated pattern. There's a lot of sustained sound through, like, say 4 beats to 8 beats of, like, you're going to sing do for 4 counts and then split into that cluster for the next 4 counts either on the same vowel or you're going to change vowel to work on color and intonation at the same time,
All the things,
all the
yes.
things. But I do like going to a unison sound for sure.
All right. Well, thank you
Yep.
for sharing.
Sure.
Would you say your students have a favorite warm up? Something that they ask to sing?
Oh my goodness. When they're when we're all kind of squirrely, they love that simple, like the 1 1 2 1 1 2 3 2 1 1 2 3 4
Hmm.
3 2 1. Like they just love that kind of chase. They love that
Yes.
kind of like it's hilarious, right? There's a competitiveness about it among the sections or among, it just they really enjoy that. You know what? They really love just singing major scales like in round.
Hmm.
They love it.
It's so cool.
They just love it. They like that. But honestly, they really, really like the unified humming and singing and that Zen moment. They ask for that. They
Hmm.
know it's coming and they love that. So
And your class is probably one of the only places that they can get that too.
it is the only place.
Hmm.
And one of the
Yep.
things that I say to them is I say, okay, we're going to inhale, we're going to breathe in, and we're going to shed the rest of the school day. We're going to shed the rest of whatever is going on with us, and we're going to breathe in where we are right now and who we are together, like right now. That's what we're going to breathe in, right? And it gives them a chance to just step into a different kind of energy, a different kind of vibrational space where they can really let go of the rest of their day, and so they long for it. They crave
Yeah.
that. Yep,
Well,
you're
it's
right.
like
It's
you
all
said, and well, it's like you said, they spend a little bit more time at the onset of rehearsal, but what you get in the long run based on that calmness, that focus there, it it pays for itself in the rehearsal time, I'm sure.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
That is the truth.
Well, you're in an agricultural high school, kind of rural,
Mhm,
so this is a
mhm,
really good question for you because some of our, listeners and viewers are in a similar kind of situation. So
mhm.
recruiting and retaining students is very important in a smaller school.
Yeah,
So can you give me some things that have worked for you in your situation, particularly like as
sure.
students move maybe from concert choir and those beginning training choirs
Mhm.
into the chamber choir, like making them, excited about wanting to continue?
Sure. We definitely have worked really intentionally on creating relationships with the music teachers in the elementary schools, in the middle schools, and creating collaborative concert events where the second graders are singing with the chamber singers. There's
Yeah.
where so I'll give you an example. All right. So this past fall, I brought Roger Emerson in to for a week long um, workshop, so to speak. He worked with my choirs, with our elementary and middle school choirs, and then also with the University of Connecticut choirs, and then the Connecticut ACDA. So he was here doing all sorts of millions of things. But he was here initially, and really this idea was to connect to those little kids, like finding music that would be accessible for elementary and middle and high school. And so we crafted this whole concert program and a workshop, and all of our students had buddy groups with the elementary and middle school students, and they took them through warm-ups and they took them through posture things and questions. They talked about poetry. They led them through this whole agenda. And it was amazing because those kids are now connected to the choral program at the high school in a completely different way. My students are connected to the kids like who were taught by their elementary school teachers. We had all of the teachers conduct a piece. So every single teacher got to conduct a piece in the concert. So the kids who are now in high school were conducted by their elementary school
Oh,
teachers, those kinds of things. So having it be like an emotional connection and an honoring of that lineage that exists was really amazing. We also had music ed students from UConn come and sing with us in the concert, and some of them were my students.
Oh my gosh.
They've been in this community their whole lives, and now they're at the university. So really intentionally crafting those experiences to come alive and
Mhm.
seeing and making every element really matter. Like I said, like giving those high school kids buddies, making them socially engage. You know, it's not just about the singing.
Mhm.
The singing is like the tool for all of that really great connection, you know. And then you have all of their families come. So suddenly you've got 1,000 people in the room
Mhm.
celebrating singing and choir and being together and the leadership that had the chance to flourish and grow and the friendships that were made and how now when those 8th graders come to high school next year they already know me and the other high schoolers and the kids who they were in their groups with. And it's really important for us because we are not K-12 districts.
Okay.
We are a regional high school, so we have no connection to those K through 8 districts that
Wow.
come to us. So we have no curricular alignment at all. And so
Wow.
what we can do is connect by singing and by like social and like fun things, you know,
Yeah.
ways to collaborate and create. So that's one example. And throughout the years, this is my 11th year at this school, we've done several of those kinds of things where the choirs come, we all do things together, whether it's elementary school or middle school or sometimes even together.
Hmm.
So it's really intentional and it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time and it has to become a priority in one of your concert cycles. At least that's the way that it's been for me. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, fall concert is all about connecting with the I won't say the little ones, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. The
Yep.
little
Yep.
ones, the little singers. We want to connect with our younger singers. And so it has to be a really intentional part. And my students know that this is intentional. Um, and that we have a mission to accomplish. So yes, connecting and creating places for them to sing together. One thing that we have this coming Saturday, I'm sure a lot of us do this, but we have our community caroling in our town square, which is very New England, right? Imagine
Yep.
the little town green, right, with the buildings around it. And we all come to the town square at 4 o'clock and we will all sing carols together for a good 30 minutes and our choirs will host it. So we invite all of the families, all of those, you know, ascending schools to come and be part of that.
You just have some really innovative programming to kind of, deal with some potential problems that some people might see as a challenge. So I
Mhm.
applaud you all for that. That's really neat to hear
Oh
you
my
doing it in
goodness.
very different ways. So,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
yeah. Well, so I like to kind of wrap up this section with the choir crack section, the three
I
all-time
love this
favorites.
section.
So, what are those songs that your kids sing in the hallway that they just
Oh,
keep doing and that they love?
how long do we have to talk about
Yeah, no
the choir
kidding.
crack section? Seriously. Oh my goodness. So I thought back like over the past 4 to 5 years of the
Mhm.
ones that like I have heard them in the hallways singing these songs, right? One of the ones that's like, oh my goodness, that just I couldn't get rid of it. It just lived and lived and lived for months and months, years, literally. I'm not even joking. It's a piece called Sweet Rivers by Sean Kirchner. So Sean is a friend of mine. We went to college together. We sang
Oh,
together at
wow.
the University of Iowa. He stood behind me on my left, the most glorious tenor voice you've ever heard, ever. Hi, Sean. You know I love you. Um, so I love singing Sean's music with my students because it's very personal for me. And I love it. He's my Iowa boy. But that song just took us for a ride for a long time.
Mhm.
My students loved Lunar Lullaby by Jacob
Mm.
Narvarud. That's a good one. Um, there is a brand new arrangement of that. It's not out quite yet, but we sang it for our fall concert. It's a Roger Emerson arrangement of Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell.
Okay.
That when it comes out, everybody needs to get it. Okay.
All right.
It's really good. It's really good. And my kids would not stop singing it. They just wouldn't stop. And last year, as I was thinking about this question, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. I remember walking down the hallway and I heard someone go, "Do you love him? Do you love him?" You know, and someone was like, "Oh yes." Like, you know? I just fell on the floor. But I heard them in the hall and I couldn't see where these children were, but they were calling and responding to each other, you know.
That's
My
the
soul's
sign
been
of a
anchored in the
meaningful
Lord.
choral program.
Like what
Yes.
else can you do, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, so those are some of our, you know, the ones that immediately come to mind.
Well, thank you for sharing. I think
Yeah.
you're our fifth person so far. We're going to try to hit one a month or so. So,
Yeah.
but I think you're the third director that's had a Kirchner song now.
Oh
So
my
there you go. Yep. Yep. It
Well,
just
it's
gets deep
true. I
inside
mean,
you.
it's
There you
like
go.
because it's folk music. There are all these folk melodies, and they're in there, and
Hmm.
the kids love to sing them. We all love to sing them, you know?
Yes. For Allstate, we did the Unclouded Day, and
Of
it was
course.
all year. They kept singing that
All
one too.
year.
So,
Oh, it's
yep.
such a good one. I know, it's such a good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you talked a little about your fall and winter set. So I'm going to go on to the next question as far
Sure.
as we have a lot of new teachers, as you know, as a leader in ACDA looking for tools for success in the organization. So, what advice would you have for your younger choral director self?
Oh my goodness. For my younger choral director self, I would definitely say that you can't do this alone, nor should you try. That you have to make relationships and connections with, you know, if you don't have anyone in your building, which a lot of us are alone, right? A
Hmm.
lot of us kind of are doing this on our own, to connect with people in your district, other teachers who do similar things to you in other buildings,
Hmm.
or to really, really, truly attend your state conferences. Attend states around you. If your
Hmm.
state is not in a position to be offering conferences that are near you, find a surrounding state who is offering professional development, who, um, you know, go where the choir people are,
Hmm.
right? Go where the choir people are and make friends and ask questions and let any hint or tendency of imposter syndrome go. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. That's what I would tell my younger self.
Giving you snaps for that. There
That
we go.
you inside of yourself as a teacher and a musician, that you're never done evolving
Hmm.
ever. And that where you are at 24 in your first job is going to be really different than where you are like at my age at 47 in my 24th year of teaching. I'm in a completely different place than I was as that 24-year-old general music teacher. And that's good. And that's necessary. And that's okay. But my biggest moments of evolution as an educator have come when I have reached out and said to colleagues that I needed help, or I needed to learn something new, or I needed help with conducting a certain piece that I just needed assistance with and I needed to see
Hmm.
it in a new way. Or when I went to a conference and I observed people either in a session or in a rehearsal and spent real time taking that information back and practicing my conducting, practicing my singing, really looking at my planning or whatever the thing might have been, to really take that professional development and the evolution of who I am as an educator really, really seriously. Um, but I think it all comes back to that we can't do it by ourselves and we need other people who've lived it and other people who are going through the same kind of thing, so we don't feel isolated, because that will kill our creativity and that will kill our, like, if we have fear going into our job, or we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, our kids will do the same thing. Our students will do the same thing.
Yeah.
And then how do we ever get to real, like, music making, real, like, art making, if we're living in a place of, like, fear or comparison? So reach out to those ACDA chapters and to your colleagues, and don't do it alone.
Yeah. Well, you seem to wear a lot of hats, from being a leader to a choral director to all the different things that you do. So, how would you say you best balance the demands of being a choir director while finding time for a life? It's hard, especially in the holiday season when we're recording right now. But do you have any suggestions or hacks that you might be able to
Sure.
share with others?
Sure, absolutely. You know, I think that I have an unusual situation because my life, my personal life, is very integrated into my professional life. My son is a junior in high school and he is in my choir. My husband is a music professor at the University of Connecticut across the street. So my worlds are very integrated.
Hmm.
And like, my children's friends are my students. You know, it's just
Yeah.
they're in and out of my house and they're in and out of my classroom. You know, it's just, that's kind of how my life is.
Yeah.
It hasn't always been that way, but I would say that integrating elements of your lives into each is okay, and it
Hmm.
actually kind of reduces the stress a little bit.
Hmm.
I think actually, like, asking for help, like what we talked about in the last question, not doing everything on your own helps alleviate that pressure of work life in a way where you are able to, like, say goodbye email, goodbye phone. I'm gonna, like, be at home and I'm gonna cook and I'm gonna read a book and I'm going to take my dogs for a walk and I'm gonna see my friends. And it allows you to not be so panicked in your work, that you can breathe and have more variety in your life rather than just the job. I do think it's really important that in the summertime, it's important to really shut down
Hmm.
and recharge and not think about choir,
Yep.
and give your, like, brain and body just a break from the constant stimulus that it takes.
Hmm.
We all know how much processing our bodies and our brains and our souls go through in engaging with a high school choir, with the human beings, with the literature, with all of the things that we have to do. Uh, the thousands of tasks, let alone, like I said, that kind of, I don't know, there's a vibrational stimulation kind of cost that we go through. Um, and it's really important to have some periods of time during your life where you're like, this is a priority. I'm going to take a break and let
Yeah.
my body and my brain recharge. You know, I
Hmm.
feel that way. I don't know if you feel that way right now, but my ears need that right now.
Yes.
I feel like my ears need just silence.
Silence. Yes.
I need silence. I get in the car and my kids will be like, turn on the music. I'm like, oh no.
No.
No, I just can't do that right now. And I mean that jokingly, but in reality, like, I would say that your
Hmm.
work and your life are really, they're the same, but they are integrated, but there are times when you do need to have space from it so you can come
Yeah.
back to it with joy, and you can come back to it with better brain, better ears, you know, a body and a heart that are ready to engage in a more creative way, in a more compassionate way. And if you don't take that time, I think that has the capability to have a detrimental effect.
Yeah. It
So,
sounds to me that the people in your world really truly understand what you do for a
yes.
living, and I think that's
Yes.
critical as well.
I agree with you. I agree with you because there is something about engaging at the high school level in the arts that is
Hmm.
just really intense.
Hmm.
And it's not just all the things. There's something about it that is like, I can't articulate what that thing is, but there is a thing, and we all know it.
Yep.
There is an energy around it that is just so intense and all consuming in a way, and unless we're careful, it does become all consuming. So the other thing that I would say is that you're the common denominator in your work and in your life, right? And so caring for yourself, whatever that looks like, is really, really, really essential. So just being mindful of that, like sometimes you need to shut down, sometimes you need to go for a walk, sometimes you just need to like take 10 minutes to do something for yourself. It's really essential.
Well, I feel like I've had a beautiful life session today, so thank you for sharing that. Well, it's also no, it really is cathartic. I'm sure to not just myself, but others that you're in Connecticut, I'm in Texas, and we're
I know.
hearing and feeling some of the same things. And no, it's just not just my world. It's we're all going through this together. So,
Yeah,
and we all can get through it together, and we will. So,
right. 100%.
well, let me
Thank
wrap up with the
you.
last fun question,
Sure.
and that's, who can we look to as inspiration for a future guest on our show, maybe even from another state? There's a lot of great choir directors out there, and you could name, I'm sure, so many, but, who do we need to get to know?
Sure. Well, one of my favorites, her name is Doreen Freiling, and she is in New York. She's actually the president of the New York ACDA chapter right now, and she teaches on Long Island. I'd be happy to get her
Okay.
information to you. But Doreen Freiling, she has been conducting high school choirs for many years. She also conducts the one of the choirs for the Metropolitan Youth Orchestra,
Hmm.
and so she does that, and she teaches music education courses at Hofstra
Okay.
University. So you will really enjoy getting to know her. So I would definitely encourage you to reach out.
Well, very good. Well, we so
Great.
appreciated your time,
Oh
Amanda,
my
and
goodness. Thank
hope you
you.
have a great end to your semester, and
Thank you.
wishing you all the best.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And I'll cut there. Awesome. Let me turn the recording off really quick. Yeah, that was great, Amanda. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome.